Hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to the Better Man Podcast. Today's episode is a member interview with Scott. Scott is a construction worker in Georgia. And in this episode, we talk about how a scary blood panel test led him to make some changes. He started with improving his diet. That led into running and weightlifting, which quickly led him to do something less intense on his body. He eventually started doing yoga, and he's now doing ultra running, which is like marathon running, but even further. So I really like this conversation because we talk about the motivation for Scott ultimately being the ability to say yes to whatever he wanted to do. We also talk about how this was a very slow, gradual process for him. He's been doing mindful yoga for 3 years now, and it probably took him 5 or 6 months until he really noticed the improvements, which is to say that sometimes you got to stick with it for a while. But now he's at this point where he's looking at mindful yoga, how it fits into his life, and can't imagine it not being there. So I really like this conversation for a lot of reasons. I also get to ask questions from, I get to ask questions to a member of a certain demographic that I don't really talk with that much. We've got a lot of guys who are office workers, but I don't have a ton of conversations with guys who have more active jobs. So it was cool to hear what his experience is with that. Anyways, I think it's really interesting. I hope you enjoy this interview, and I hope it inspires you to be a better man. Hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to the Better Man Podcast. Today we have another member interview. I am talking with Scott A, and we're going to be learning about his health and wellness journey and more. So, Scott, thanks for joining me today.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, you reached out to me. I've started. We've been doing these member interviews for I don't know, probably 6 months now, and you reached out, said, "Hey, I want to tell my story." And I was like, cool, let's tell your story. So, has health and wellness always been important to you, or was there a time in your life when you realized, oh, I've got to fix some stuff?
It has not. It was more of a recent thing. I kind of had
Okay.
like two things kind of collide at the same time, and I figured it was my wake up moment.
Mm,
Um, I been getting my physicals, and every time I go and get my blood work done, everything is high.
okay.
And basically, I go down each list with my doctor, and she'd be like, "What can I do to fix this?" And I'd be like, "You can lose weight. What can I do to fix this? I can lose weight."
Mm,
And so we keep on going over that stuff. And I was getting to the point with that where I was like, I'm going to try to lose weight. I'll just give it 6 months on this. And
mm-hmm,
if it starts trending in the right direction, I'll continue. And if not, I'm just going to continue to eat whatever I want to eat and just
mm-hmm.
go the opposite direction. Um, but
How did you
then, like,
decide on that 6 months thing?
I figure that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
In 6 months, because if you give it, I mean, if you try to give it a week, you're not changing in a week. And
Yeah.
6 months was when my next blood work was going to be done.
Okay. That
So
makes sense.
it gave a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And
So how'd you
then
go about doing that?
I just started changing my diet mainly, and I
Mm-hmm.
would just keep on substituting A for B. And it would just get smaller and smaller. And then eventually I got to, and this sounds kind of boring, I guess, but I'd start eating almost the same thing every day. Like every
Yeah.
breakfast, it would be a Greek yogurt, an apple, and then for lunch it'd be an apple, a banana, and a salad.
Okay.
And so it was kind of structured, and I've gotten away from that over time. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, once I started doing everything, the weight loss was pretty consistent. It was 1 to 2 pounds a week the whole time.
That's that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, because I didn't want to do more than that because I was looking at it long term, and I don't think if you did quicker than that, it's sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, you have some people who actually lose weight too fast and they actually run into some health problems.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
I think your
How did
metabolism kind of changes as it goes too.
Yeah, for sure. So, what encouraged you to be consistent with that change as you were starting out? Because that's, I mean, going from eating whatever you want to I'm just going to have an apple for breakfast might be,
Yeah.
difficult.
I guess once you start changing, the change kind of builds itself in a way.
Uh
Because
huh.
like I work construction, so it's kind of hard to eat healthy. But
Yeah.
once you know, hey, I'm going to bring this to lunch. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to pack my lunch. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to have my salad.
Hmm.
And everything's done in front of you. It's your only option. I'm not going out to eat today. I'm not doing
That's
it.
true. You can really I love using the healthy, the person who wants to be healthy, that version of yourself to just make life for your future self miserable but restrictive and effective.
Yeah,
Like
I
I'm
mean, I
just
like to say you don't have another choice. This
yeah.
is your choice right now. So you can
Yeah.
either enjoy it and take it for the best you can, or you don't eat. you know?
Yeah. So I'm actually really curious about this because I know that we have, I don't speak much to this particular demographic of ours, but we have people who are, we have guys who are very active for their job, and I usually talk to the office worker, right? And that's most of who talks to me is the guys who are spending way too much time sitting, right? They have terrible posture, they have all these aches and pains from sitting. But on the other end, if you have a super physical job, then you need similar things. A lot of people have the same, they're using their bodies incorrectly, kind of the same way that you would use, kind of the same way that you would approach like your workouts at the gym.
Yeah.
You tend to rely on the wrong muscles. You aren't using your core. You aren't using your hips effectively. You're not really using your upper back as much as you should. So there's a lot of those kind of similarities, but you guys also need kind of different movements. So I'm curious for you, what did you notice between come of what I was talking about versus what some of your needs were as an
Yeah,
active
it's
guy?
it's funny you say that because sometimes it's just I'll be listening to you and it'll be like, oh, for office work, I'm like, well, this doesn't really apply per se, but
Yeah.
you just make a little bit of changes here or there because, like, with us, I mean, that's partly why I started the yoga. Is just my body was destroyed. I mean, my knees shredded. Uh, your joints just hurt from physical working. I mean, you don't see a ton of older people in the fields because your body can't keep up with it.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 47.
47. Okay.
Because like that was one of the big things I noticed with the yoga was when I could tie my shoes without coming up with a game plan.
Okay.
Because you don't just
Yeah.
have to be like, all right, how am I going to tie my shoe? How am I going to bend over this far? How am I going to
Hmm.
do? And it sounds simple, but
Yeah.
like the day I was like, oh man, I just tied my shoe and didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was like such a huge
Yeah. How long did
change.
you remember how long it took for you to be able to do that from start to whenever
That
that happened?
that was probably a while, maybe 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Because like when I started, like the diet end, I started because of the health issues with my blood work.
Yeah.
Now the yoga and that end, I started partly because of my work, and partly I was looking at properties with my friend, and they were fairly large properties, but I was gassed. I was just dying, and I'm just like this can't stay like this. And I mean, it was bad enough. My friend called me up like a few days later. He's like, I can't tell you what to do, but you need to do something. He's
Hmm.
like, you just can't be healthy like this. So I was like, when I do something, I go all in. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on the treadmill. I'm gonna lift weights, and I got on the treadmill, and that was not gonna happen.
No. Yeah.
It was a no go. So
Yeah.
the
I
the
mean, you're
treadmill
probably
became an elliptical, because I can do that,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then the weightlifting became uh, just planks, just like I mean
Okay.
6 second planks, 8 second planks, whatever I could do.
Yeah.
But then the planks, I started thinking, I was like, I like to be flexible, and this seems adjacent to yoga. It's like maybe I can do yoga and get some of the benefits out of it.
Yeah. So how did you start looking for something yoga related?
Um, I went out because I travel in addition to work, so like
Hmm.
finding a studio was not going to work, and
Yeah.
I don't know
Where do
that
you live?
Cartersville, Georgia. It's
Okay.
like in between Atlanta and Chattanooga,
Okay.
so kind of ruralish.
Got it.
Um, but the studio thing didn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, let me find something online. You can find anything online. And I found someone, but like her voice, this is gonna sound silly, but her voice kind of annoyed me because it was soothing and comforting type thing.
Yeah.
And then I found you, and it was more like coaching instructive, which is what I prefer. So I
Yeah.
started watching well, the first one I watched was a Clark series one.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't do this is
Yeah.
way
That's a tough
harder
one.
than what I can do. But
Yeah.
then I started finding other ones on YouTube, and I kept on doing the YouTube ones, and eventually I was like, all right, I feel guilty. I'm not paying this dude, and I'm watching all his videos. I was like,
Got it.
okay, let me sign up for a subscription, and I figured if I put money into it, it would force me to use it because I was like, I'm not going to spend money on something I'm not going to use.
Yeah. That was going to be my question. I'm always curious about like, I see some people who comment on my YouTube videos like every day, and it's been like 2 years, and I'm kind of like, so that I have an app, right? Like, that I have more workouts, and like, that I have this whole thing. And yeah, so it's interesting to hear. Okay, number one, you just felt guilty, so you signed up. I'm like, well,
well,
ideally people aren't just signing up because they're guilty, but
I'm like, it's a
also,
guy. This is his business. This is what he's doing. I was like, it's not some huge company out there where it's. I was like, everyone makes a difference, and I like, and that will force me to do it and stay with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I look at it as, I mean, I don't know. Clearly, I'm biased, but I also look at it as like, $12 a month, give or take, to just to to have all the workouts that you need, to have everything, all the programs, like a progression to actually do it, a community to support you, like, and you get to talk, like, I'm accessible too, like, you don't sign up for like Beachbody or like, I shouldn't say that, I've had the Beachbody guy on the podcast, but you don't sign up for a giant streaming service and then you're able to like talk with the trainer. That doesn't happen.
But it's kind
So
of hard to understand the program before you're in the program, if
mm,
that makes sense, because you don't. I mean, most of us, I would imagine, are just getting into it. Most of us are probably older. We're a little kind of gun shy to start with because
yeah.
you don't know what you're doing, and then it's this whole online program. You don't know how to
Mm,
use it. It just
mm-hmm.
until you're in it, use it because like I've gone through many iterations of how I use your program. Because
Yeah.
like when I first started, it was fully I'm going to start with the absolute beginner program. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to do the breath program. I'm going to do the strength program. And now that is not at all the way I use your
Mm-hmm.
Manflow yoga.
Yeah. Are you one of the just figure out what you're going to do that day guys, or how do you use it?
Um, it depends on what I'm doing, and because I almost use it more now as a one to stay healthy and movement, but two, it's supplemental to my other stuff. Because like
Okay.
right now, I'm doing ultra running, so that takes up so much of your time. And
Oh yeah, you're a runner. You're ultra runner. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, because I got a big race coming up. So like
So are
currently,
you just that weird guy who's like running around town barefoot and everyone's like, there goes Scott, just running his 30 mile runs?
I am the weird guy. I do not do barefoot, and it's probably more like, man, that homeless guy out there just keeps on running everywhere. But
I'm
it's a
gonna
small
call the
town,
cops on
so
that guy.
I know so many people, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you just put in so many miles because it's funny because I'm always like, am I the story in other people's conversations at night? You know, am I the guy they're like, see that
Wouldn't
guy
that be
running
awesome?
again?
Yeah, taking up space in their heads for free. That's awesome, though.
So like now I use it for a lot of recovery. I'll use it
Hmm.
for like this morning I was doing an ankle flexibility because it's pretty important in stabilization. Um, but then I also did I did a couple OCRs, so I'd use that for like upper body and with my strength training. So when
Hmm.
I was doing
What's
the
OCR?
weightlifting, obstacle course races, like
Oh, okay, like Spart.
yeah, because I did like the Savage race, same stuff,
Okay.
but it mixes it up. And then I've done rock climbing, so I'd use that because the flexibility and strength is, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, really.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, cool. So rock climbing
so it
too.
just depends on what I'm doing now. It's like,
Yeah.
how can I focus your program to help what I need?
Okay. So I'm gonna come back to that in a second and try to understand like so you went from dieting so you went from just like okay I got to diet because I've got some kind of scary blood test results here so I got to
Yeah.
fix that, and then you went into okay now I'm gonna work out and do like I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna lift weights, and then you started doing yoga instead, and then you were doing endurance. So like what all have you when did you start manful yoga, and then like what all have you done since then?
Uh, I started Manflow Yoga about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So that was at that time. That's when I was doing the elliptical and planks because that was the only like stuff I could get. But
Yeah.
then when I started doing the yoga, I can do yoga and not feel wrecked the next day.
Okay.
Where, when I do heavy running or heavy lift training, it takes me days to recover sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I found with getting older is your recovery is just longer. You might be able to do the workout, but you're gonna pay
Right,
for
you'll
it
pay
down the
for it.
line. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
might be able to go out with the kids and play basketball, but yeah, the next day it's not gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate. It's not what you can do, it's what you're willing to recover from.
Yeah, but that's what I
Yeah.
found with yoga is I can usually recover from it because I
Yeah.
would for a little while. I was even doing it twice a day. I do a morning, just like a wake up morning to get you going, and then I do an
Yeah.
afternoon. Because, like for me, I started doing it in the beginning. I was doing a lot of times in the evening because that's when I had time. But
Yeah.
I felt I wasn't getting the benefits because I think afterwards is when you feel looser and nicer. So then by the time you wake up, you're kind of getting stiff again. So
Yeah.
like most of my time that I would get the benefits is when I'm sleeping. And
Right.
that's not what I was
Right.
using it for at that time.
Yeah.
So I had
That's
to
true.
switch it up to a morning routine.
Yeah. Okay. That
So
makes
then I
sense.
went from that to like my elliptical became running or
Hmm.
jogging or walking really.
Yes, this
And
this this jogging, walking, moving quickly combination of movement.
yeah, just one foot in front of the other. I
Hmm.
mean, one step at a time. And then, then the uh, my planks started getting into weight training a little bit more, where I could start moving weights.
Hmm.
So that I think I started that about the same time I was doing the strength foundation thing. So I
Okay.
kind of felt they worked off of each other a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was maybe 6 months in, something like that.
Okay.
Cause like, and this might help other people, but the one thing I really wish I had done was recorded some of my early workouts and
Mm.
written down how I felt during them and how the moves felt because at least for me my change was slow. It was gradual.
Mm.
You even today I'm still not super flexible. I mean if you get a 16th of an inch or a 32nd of an inch which you would never be able to measure, that's a
Hmm.
good progression.
Yeah.
And if you take that
Feels
over
significantly
months,
differently.
yeah, you take that over months, you can see it. But because you're you every day, so you don't see the change from Monday to Tuesday. And
Yeah.
I kind of wish I could gone back and seen that, because the
Yeah.
closest I got was I'll do yoga out on my pond on a stand up paddleboard,
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
I went back to the absolute beginners, and I felt like an absolute beginner again because it's so hard. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is how much I progressed. That now you add the movement of that on. Now I felt like I did in the beginning. So I was like, okay, I
Mm.
really did progress a lot. I just you don't remember where you started from sometimes.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens. It's not like a before and after photo. It's usually what happens is someone, they do a a series of workouts, they do a program, but then like you, they kind of come back to it after a few months, and then they're like, oh, this is easier than I remember it.
Yeah,
Or sometimes it's the other way. Sometimes it's actually, oh, this is harder than I remember it. It's because they're actually paying attention to the
doing
technique and they're incorporating the proper muscle activation. Whereas before they were kind of just, what's Dean doing? I don't know. Let me mirror him. Let me try and make myself look like him.
well,
So,
you'll say things, and I didn't. I mean, I listened and I knew what you were saying, but I didn't understand or comprehend them.
mm,
Because like you would say activate your glute, no idea
yeah,
what that was, how to do that, what that was. I mean, I know what my glute is, I don't know how to activate it. I can't make that. And now
yeah,
from doing it so long, it makes sense. Or
mm,
I guess I didn't know how to breathe. Something simple.
yeah,
When you're just like breathing your I was like, what is this, how does it work? And now it's like, okay, I understand it.
hmm,
So that it's like to your point, if you went back and redid the things, yeah, it's almost a different routine.
yeah, yeah.
Or
I,
like when the day you realize you stopped cussing Dean all the time, it was like, oh, I am no longer cussing Dean. Now it's more like when you're like, oh, this is gonna be fun. It's like, no, Dean, this is not going to be fun.
yes, yeah, that's true. You are not wrong. Yeah, that's my code word for um, this is going to be an intense one. But I get excited about it, so I say it's fun because it is. It's
Yeah,
usually
I
it
think that
is
might be
fun.
universal though, because I was doing a trail run the other day, and some ultra runners ran by, and they're like, "Oh, you're going on the fun trail," and I was like, "What does that mean?" I
Yep.
found out what that meant. It was not
Yep.
fun.
Yeah. So, so I don't have a lot of construction guys on the podcast. So I actually wanted to go back to that topic and
Yeah,
ask you some questions around that. So, um, how do guys what is like the conversation, what is the culture around health in construction communities? Is it like, do they care about it? Is it just like, I mean, just let me know.
there's
Just
there's like generations kind of construction, because
okay.
there's a lot of us old timers that were raised a certain way, and your body was more or less just a tool you used out in the field to get the work done. So you
Mm,
didn't take care of it, you didn't do anything like that, and you just abused it. You did whatever you could to get the job done. And
mm,
now a lot of the newer, younger guys they eat a little bit healthier, and they work out a lot more. That's a lot of their thing is they'll go to the gym and work out. They usually
okay.
don't do a lot of cardio. They don't do yoga, but they're they'll ask you about it and then never follow up on it.
Hmm.
Because I've
Okay.
told a lot of people about man flow yoga, but I don't know if anyone's ever actually went through it. Especially
Yeah.
like I'll have a lot of the because like I'm in running, I'm in like a run club, and so I'll talk to some of the ladies, and they'll be like, "Oh, what yoga do you do?" And you'll say man flow yoga, and you kind of get this look, and they're like, "Well, it's not just for men. It's the name. It's geared to like some of us unflexible older people generally, and
Yeah.
so you kind of got to go through the whole explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a conversation starter for sure.
Yeah.
So how do guys, so that older generation, how do
Yeah,
you guys deal, or like how do you guys talk about pain? Is it just like, ah, my back, or is just
you're just
like
supposed
what
to
do
have
you,
it. You're
you're
just
just supposed
supposed
to
to
have
have
it?
it. Yeah, I mean that's like with of all my levels, pretty much everything is good now except for I got to check it now, but my liver enzymes are always high, and I think it's because
Mm.
of the amount of painkillers I was taking to get
Oh,
through the
yeah.
day.
Okay.
Because you take all your what is it NSAIDs, and they're
Yeah.
not good on your liver.
Yeah. No, if you need to take those just to get through the day. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because I could eat those like candy more or less. You wouldn't
yeah.
even swallow it with water or anything. Now the only time I take them really is on like race day or something like that when you know you're
Okay.
gonna. So that's a
Got it.
huge change.
Yeah, I bet. Um, so what about eating? What do you got? I mean, what's the culture around eating? Or like what do you guys have for lunch? Or does
A
anyone say like,
lot of
hey,
the
let's
guys
go get
go.
healthy stuff today, or
No, a lot of the
let's go get
guys
some
still go
burgers?
out to eat every day for
Yeah.
lunch. So you're talking fast food most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like food trucks that come to the job sites, but you're talking a lot of like tortilla based stuff and
Right.
a lot of Mexican food, which generally tastes really good, but
Yeah.
it's not always what you want to eat every day.
Yeah. I used to I used to when I was first starting mindful yoga, I had I was a mover, which was an awesome job because it was a new company, so we got paid pretty well. We got tips. We were paid as contractors, so it was a good setup, and it was good for me because I was like, cool, I get to work out, I get to be active. But I mean, you're moving the whole time, like literally
Yeah.
moving. You're moving your body, you're lifting things, you're picking things up, you're moving quickly, and so you get to lunch and you're starving, and so you eat, and most, I don't think anybody actually brought a lunch. It was all guys like in their early 20s, maybe some guys in their early 30s, but mostly younger guys, and we would go to, we would try to go to places that had all you can eat buffets for lunch, and then you'd eat,
That is exactly it. And
but then
I was thinking about that. You would go to like CC's and you would house a couple pizzas, like two
right.
whole pizzas or whatever at lunch, and you wouldn't think twice about it.
Right. But then you get back to work and like 15 minutes in, you're like, I think I need a nap. And you just push through it, and it sucked. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's probably
it's a hard thing when you have a high calorie output. You do need to counteract it with an input.
yeah.
So like once I started, it's something I'm still dealing with is when you're doing weight training and ultra training and yoga, you need to offset the calories because when I was in a deficit, you're more likely to get injured and you're not fueling properly. So you
Hmm.
gotta like I'm because I started, I think it was 211 when I started, and I
Hmm.
got all the way down to 151, and now I'm up to like 170, which is probably a better weight for
Hmm.
me, unless I'm trying to do like marathon training where
Yeah. How tall are you?
weight about 5'10".
Okay. Yeah. It's a good, it's a good weight.
Yeah,
150,
it's
5'10", and working out and doing that much active stuff. Yeah, I can see how that would be challenging.
yeah. You get to the point where you're not taking in enough calories to fuel your activities,
Yeah.
and then if you don't fuel it, you're not getting the gains from what you're trying to do,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then you get injured, and
Right.
it's all this cycle where everything works together. If you got to sleep right, you got to eat right. To me, those are the two main things, and then it's just being active and
Hmm.
you know working out,
Yeah.
doing some cardio, and they all kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. So how did what was your mentality with the adding in new healthy habits? I'm curious about, like, was there a curiosity to just try it? Was there, like, did you notice like, oh, I don't know. So what was that?
Um,
What inspired you to make more changes?
at some point in life, you kind of get tired of hurting all the time. And
Mm,
like sometimes my friends would do something like they would go on a backpacking trip or something, and they wouldn't invite me because they knew I'd just drag it.
mm,
And if my kids ever have kids and I have grandkids, I want to be able to be around and physically functional for them.
yeah.
I guess what I really want to be is a yes. If
Mm,
someone asks me a question, if they will say, "Hey, you want to do this? Can you do this?" I want to be yes. The only reason
mm,
I want to say no is because I don't want to do it. It's not
yeah.
because I can't do it. I want to be there for myself and for everyone around me.
Hmm.
And if you don't
Yeah.
change and get healthy, you can't do that.
Was that a sudden realization for you, or was that a general or like an overtime thing?
It's this whole thing is just it's such a slow process because as you physically get better, I read a lot of books and I worked on my mind and how to look at things.
Hmm.
And the weird thing with your mind and your body is you can't, or not your mind and your thoughts is you can't gauge it the same way. Like if I'm doing yoga, I can tell you I can do this pose or not. Or if I'm doing a race, I can tell you what speed I am. But when you're working on your mind and your attitude, there's no test for that.
Right.
You know, where I found, and it's such a slow change. You still always think of yourself as your past self, and
Mm.
so now when I meet some new people, they'll describe me a certain way, and that's not how I see myself, and it's kind of odd. Or
Yeah.
like I still describe myself as fat because I'm so used to being fat, and then people will look at you weird, and you can't figure out why, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not that person anymore. But you still
Yeah.
are kind of. It's hard to move on from who you were sometimes.
Yeah, no, I hear about that all the time in the community. I mean, I talk about it probably every podcast episode that I do. I hear people talk about, well, I'm not really an active person. And I look at like the post that they just made. They're like, well, I run 3 times a week and I do yoga 5 times a week. And then I go to the gym on the other days. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're an active person.
Well, it's like when you say, someone's an athlete or something. I'm like, ooh, I don't like that word because I just do
Right.
not consider myself an athlete or a runner or any. Just you don't look at yourself that way.
Yeah. No, it's a thing. Yeah, I think most of the people in Mantle Yoga who talk to me, I mean, we've definitely got the people who were athletes in high school, and they kind of usually what happens is they let themselves go for a while, and then they have this oh shit moment, and then they start doing getting back into things, getting back into workouts. But then on the other hand, you have the guys who were never really active, who hated working out, who were the last picked for sports,
Yeah,
and they come into Manful Yoga. They're like, I'm not an athlete. I'm like, cool, you're welcome, great, you're here, you're in the right place. um,
yeah,
yeah,
and I mean, who you were doesn't dictate who you're gonna be.
yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah. So, got a couple other questions. So, how did you feel supported in making these changes? Was your family on board with you? Did you have community?
Um,
Did you join groups, or like what? How was that social support there, or not there?
I guess some of it I didn't like. I was saying I didn't write down and I didn't take pictures. I really didn't tell anyone what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
because I think if I started doing that, I wouldn't have even started because I'd be so scared I was going to fail
Mm.
and that'd be a record of it that I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do this. So I just kind
Yeah.
of kept it. And then when I did start, like some of the guys at work thought I had like cancer or something because I was losing weight. And they're just
Wow.
and no one really wanted to, necessarily say anything. And then they're like, "Oh no, he's just working out. He's just eating better."
I think he's dying. No. He's just working out, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they look kind of similar. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
know. And my family was. I mean, they've been supportive of it, but
Hmm.
then I always take everything to a stream, so I don't think anyone fully understands what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Um, but it's like my oldest, or youngest, she would do man flow yoga with me. So
Hmm.
when I was like, "Oh, I'm having a conversation with Dean," she's like, "Oh, I know that."
How
And
old is
that was always.
how old is your youngest?
She's 18.
She's 18, and then the
Yeah,
oldest is
it's 28.
28.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
that's why I got into construction. Needed to make money when I was young.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of
So,
changes. Because in high school I played soccer and did sports and all that.
mhm.
So because I was always, when I first started doing electrical, I was so small. If they needed a small guy or a light guy, I'd be the one they would put up in the ceiling to walk across stuff you couldn't walk across because I was so small. And I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to start putting on weight. And that did not turn out good.
Yeah. Yeah, I always see the young guys being utilized for the things that, like, yeah, I don't think most I mean, look at what the younger guys in construction or jobs like that are doing, and I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do that, and I'm supposed to be in pretty good shape. So,
Yeah, I mean, time catches us all.
yeah. Mm. So what's the next thing you want to work on in your fitness? Or what are you working on right now?
Um, I'm trying to do a couple runs. I want to get into like a Chicago qualifying marathon. I want to get up to a 100 miler. But
Okay.
ultimately, I want to get back to playing soccer and ultimate frisbee and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I like the team aspect. I mean,
Yeah.
so much of like running and even doing the yoga. I mean, I'm kind of part of a group, but you're kind of part of alone when you're doing it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. And so I want to be part of a team aspect, something physical where there's a
Yeah.
little bit of physicality with it. Because you
Right.
kind of miss even with soccer, you're bumping into people, you're hitting some
Yeah.
people. With running, the only time I get physicality is when I trip and hit the ground, and
Yeah.
sometimes even then I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Or if you run into a cougar
yeah,
on the trail or
yeah,
something,
or bear.
or a bear. Yeah.
That's always scary.
Yeah. That's only happened like twice to me. So no.
But
That's
no, and and like playing soccer and stuff, it scared me a little bit because of the quick moving back and forth and your
yeah.
knees and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. That part is scary. I played lacrosse up until I was 30, I think, or 29. And then pandemic happened, leagues got shut down for, I don't actually know if they got shut down. Maybe not here in Texas, but like a year or two I was out. And then when there was games again, or when I considered, oh, maybe I can go, I think I went out and I played once. And I hadn't played in like probably 2 years. And I went out, I did like one run. I think I played like one half. I had like a 5 minute shift. And then, yeah, that was the last time I played. But
That was it. You got your 5 minutes in, we're like done.
yeah, it's just I'm just so scared of getting injured. And even back when I was playing in my late 20s, like I would go out and I would do agility drills. Like I would go out to fields and do sprints and do like cone drills and stuff because I've had plenty of injuries from playing lacrosse, and I don't want to get. I can't get. I mean, I don't want to get injured, and like if I get injured, obviously I can't create
Your livelihood
videos.
is your body. I mean, that's the same way
Right.
I am. My livelihood's my body. So,
Yeah, so it's just there's too much on the line. So yeah, I
do
don't
they
know if
have
they're if
adult lacrosse leagues? Is that a
yeah,
thing?
yeah, they do. No, they're pretty competitive too. And most of the guys who play are recent college grads and still in their 20s, and you got a couple guys in their 30s who play. But there's a mass. I think I'm looking for the Masters leagues. If there's a Masters league, then I'm in. Like if I can just be the fast guy amongst a bunch of 30 plus guys, like I can do that. But yeah, like trying to keep up with like the 24-year-old who just graduated college and played D1, like no, that's going to be hard.
But I guess that's ultimately the goal, is to get to the point where you can do whatever and be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I can do that. I could go play soccer.
yeah,
I like to get back, do some more rock climbing and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I just came up with the title of the podcast episode is "Getting to Yes." So
Yeah, I mean to me that's everything. Is when you get to the point where you can do everything and you just choose what you don't want to do.
hmm
Because I mean that's one of my big things now, is every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And that's good and
yeah,
bad.
right.
Like if I go downstairs, and it took me a while to value my own time, like taking 30 minutes to do yoga. I felt like I was
hmm
being selfish to my family and those around me by taking time
Yeah,
for myself.
yeah. No, that's
That's a recent thing, and I'm not used to it. It feels kind of
yeah,
awkward,
that's something to overcome. Um, yeah.
And
All right, you
I
ready to
didn't
move
think
into
that.
our? Go
Yeah,
ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. I was gonna say I didn't think that would be a thing, but the more I got into it, I was just like, man, I kind of feel guilty doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that families have to, people have to kind of balance. They have to have conversations, and they have to make sacrifices, and they have to wake up earlier than they want to, and
And
um,
like my family's
yeah,
been great about it. It's something internal in me where you
mm,
just feel like you should be doing something different.
yeah. All right, so let's get into our rapid fire questions. What is the one habit, belief, or mindset that has helped you the most with your overall health and wellness?
Uh, I would say don't let what you can't do stop you from doing what you can do.
Okay.
So, I mean that works for me in a lot of different stuff. Like part of the reason I was scared of yoga is because you see all these positions, and I was like, I can't do
hmm
that, but I can do these simple ones. I can do a cat cow.
Yeah.
Let's start there. So to me,
Yeah.
I mean that works with everything kind of in life. Don't if you can do one thing out of 10, that's one thing that you didn't have before.
Yeah. It's a great way to look at it. What's one thing that you do for your health that is often overlooked or undervalued by others?
This is one I've been kind of working on, but I'd say it's embracing failure.
Okay.
I'm thinking of failure more as a positive thing, because it meant you try to go past your limits a little bit, and at least
Yeah.
you tried, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah. True. What's the most stressful part of your day to day life?
I'd say the unknown, because I
Okay.
can deal with everything I know, but I don't know what's gonna happen today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just you have everything planned, and then the unknown happens, whatever that
Okay.
is, and it's gonna wreck your day, and it's out there always looming out over your head.
Yeah.
So
Just
that's
a
where my
dark
stress comes
cloud looking
from.
at
Is
you.
where's it gonna come from?
Okay. What's your best piece of advice for men who want to be healthier?
Um, I guess maybe just sometimes slow down and take
Mm,
things in and enjoy it. Celebrate your wins,
hmm
and I mean, none of this is a race to the finish. So just enjoy what you have and celebrate it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's something small, just be proud of it. Take it in.
Yeah. That's great advice. Be grateful. All right. Well, I really enjoyed this interview. Thanks for doing it,
Yeah,
Scott. This was awesome.
yeah. I mean, I really got to thank you for setting up the program, having it structured the way you do. I mean, it's made a huge difference in my life. I mean, I don't think I'd be the human I am today without it. So
Thank you.
thank you for the program.
You're welcome. My pleasure. I appreciate the words. It's awesome. I'm glad it's worked for you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Scott, once again, thank you for coming on. If you're enjoying this, I forgot what I say at the end of these. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope this inspires you to be a better man. I'll see you guys on the next episode. All right. All right, guys. Hopefully, you enjoyed this interview. If you want to learn more about Manflow Yoga and you haven't already become part of our community, go to manflowyoga.com/join to start a free 7-day trial. If you're already part of the community and you're listening in here and it's inspiring, I want to say thank you so much for being here. If you want to be on an interview yourself, let me know. Reach out to me at help@manflowyoga.com. Send me a message in the members area or the app. However you want to contact me. If you're enjoying the interviews, feel free to leave a review for the podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. You can also watch video versions in the members area, an app of Manful Yoga, or on the Better Man Podcast YouTube channel. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. Hopefully this new round of interviews is going well for you guys. I hope it's inspiring you. I hope it inspires you guys to be better men. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.